I have a few ways that I like to connect with my OCs or original characters. So these will be characters that you make up, you draw, you write about, that you've created on your own or with a person, but through some way they are your original characters, as the name implies. Um, my ways of connecting with my characters is a very specific list of things I like to do. And I think a lot of people like to do these things, but this is just like my advice, I guess, on how to connect with these characters. My first and biggest thing is definitely music. I definitely connect with characters more if I'm able to make a playlist of them. So if I'm making a playlist of like a character from a movie, then that means I really like that character, or like a TV show or something like that. So playlists kind of help me kind of figure out the character. I like to make just like a general playlist at first when I first make them, just to even like put songs that I know don't make sense, but like they kind of help me get like the brainstorming down for it, you know? Um, like I have a character named Comet, and he's very star themed. So for the first like general playlist, I just did a lot of star themed songs. But then as I was like writing him and creating him, I kind of like went away from that and I went for more of like a very specific type of music that fit with his backstory or his personality. And so that's kind of my way of doing that, or that's how I start at least. And then I like to do this thing where I have separate playlists. I have a bunch of playlists for my comic. I think around like 15 or so. But once I get more into those characters, I like to do more of like a very specific type of playlist for them. I know a lot of people like to do this where they make a playlist of songs that their characters like to listen to, or like what they would realistically listen to, like what kind of bands and stuff like that. And so I've definitely done that with Tyler and Eli. I haven't necessarily done it with Comet, but it's more so because I have like a Comet vibes playlist on like the character he likes to portray himself as. It's very pop music with like very happy, energetic music, and it's a lot about like over over presenting yourself, kind of like a high confidence, high ego. That's kind of the vibe I have for Comet because he's very much that kind of person. Um or at least presents himself in that kind of way. And so I have like a vibes playlist, and then I have a more serious playlist about his actual backstory. Um, and so if I'm listening to either one, I'm either going, because I like to listen to these playlists for like inspiration. It's nice to have a certain type of playlist that has these different vibes that I can go to based on the situation. I definitely want to do a more in depth uh, video about playlists because I have a lot of thoughts on them, and I've been making so many playlists for so long, especially for my comic. So doodles of like any scenario, I feel like helps to explore the character and their personality, and especially in the beginning of creating the OC, if you don't stick to any like one type of idea very early on in the process, like with Eli and Tyler, I did a lot of different doodles of like what I thought their personality was, and it just kind of progressed from there. So if you're always exploring this character, then you're always like kind of making them like deeper and like giving them like realism, I guess. Realism. Yeah, so doodling is definitely one of the big things that I did. Like I used to stay up at night with like the sketchbook under my pillow, and I would just draw until I fell asleep. And I would just draw these little scenarios. And a lot of those scenarios actually made it into the comic, which is a slay. It was sick that young me was putting so much work into that. And then of course, like the most popular version of this is definitely like redrawing movie scenes or TV scenes with the characters. And it's really fun, and you get to incorporate your own interests into your OCs, and you get to kind of like copy the style of whatever you're doing as well, which is fun. Also, like exploring different tropes for like characters. I'm definitely gonna do a video about like the tropes I enjoy, But for making your OC and making sure that you stick to them and connect to them, I think like exploring tropes that you love, like if you were to write a list of tropes you love, I feel like your project, your like comic or your story should probably incorporate a lot of those just so you keep that interest, but also because if you love a trope, then you're going to love redoing it, but like in your own way. My favorite trope is always going to be the sunny character versus the grumpy character. It's a very, very, very common trope, but I just love it and adore it so much. I feel like you can do so much with it, and it's just really fun, and it often leads into some sort of found family dynamic, and that's my other favorite trope as well. I'm not really like a romance person, so I don't really have like a lot of favorite romance tropes, I don't think. But we can get to that later. Also, putting pieces of yourself into the characters can make them a lot more realistic. It goes into the whole idea of like write what you know. If you're like I used to kind of like put a lot of myself into my characters, like to kind of be like, "Oh, what would they do if they were in this stressful scenario that I'm in?" You know? I actually there were times where I rewrote arguments like in my family, but I put my characters saying the words. And that's kind of crazy that I did that, but it kind of fed into their personalities a little, like it kind of gives a realism and kind of a different, I don't know. It's nice seeing yourself in characters. It makes you connect with them a lot faster if you're like, "Oh, well this character is kind of like my way of expressing this, or this character is not like me because of this." And it's just kind of nice. It grounds the characters. Pinterest boards is a must. I love Pinterest so much. I've used it so much, and I love just like looking at things, and I love finding references there. But finding like or making Pinterest boards of your characters is so nice because I love to make um outfit Pinterest boards. I love making like character design Pinterest boards of what these characters would look like if you used realistic references. I love using them for scenario Pinterest boards. I love like the props and things like that. Just like this, it's really nice to just have one place to have all of the references set up already. And then you can put like sections inside of the boards, and it's just a fun time. Consider their inspirations. Like maybe you don't know it, but maybe these characters are inspired by these different medias that you like. And if you explore that, I feel like you'll be able to know the character more if you know what they're inspired by. I don't know if I've said this already, but Eli and Tyler is based on the idea of a demon and a human character because I was watching Disenchantment in like 2018, and then I was like, wouldn't that be an interesting character to make? And then I made them, and then it spiraled from there. So I would say, like, knowing what they're inspired by is definitely a way to kind of connect with them more. And even if it doesn't actually help you, like, connect with the characters more, it is just nice to know, like, what inspires them. So, that's all I really have to say. I love character creation. I don't do it a lot, but I love connecting with my characters and thinking about them. Those are definitely the things I do whenever I make a new OC. And it's helped at least for the few that I have. D&D, and then like comic creation. So, bye.